Hey Hope family, happy Monday and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today is the perfect time to reflect on the importance and impact of small-scale acts of faith and compassion. Over the years, as I've learned about Dr. King, I often thought of him as being larger than life and his work as being this huge scale that was unattainable for me as an average person. And so in some ways I just felt inadequate and perhaps paralyzed of how I could be a force for good in the world if I couldn't be like him. And when we went to Montgomery on the Justice Tour a few years ago with Pastor Eli and other members of the church, it was such a rich and vibrant experience. I highly recommend that trip. I learned a lot more about Dr. King as a young man and him and Coretta as they were young parents in Montgomery, and how he just started on the local level. He was just a pastor in that community, caring for the people around him, and a need was brought to him. The local bus boycott needed additional leadership. They needed places to meet. They needed encouragement and guidance. And he started on this small local level. He said yes to the people in his community that had a need, and he said yes to what God could potentially do through him. And it gradually grew from there, but that's not necessarily his intent at the time. He was responding to the needs that were in front of him, responding to the opportunities that God was placing in his path, and he was saying yes to the people around him and saying yes to the power of God to work through him. I think that's such a good reminder for us today. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel intimidated by the issues and struggles in our society. And I want us to start by reflecting on where can we start on a small scale with needs right in front of us, in our families, in our school, our workplace, at our church, in our city. What are things that you have the potential to say yes to? Areas where you can join with others, you can encourage and connect and build into the people around you. And you can trust that wherever you start, even if it feels small, even if it feels minor, God can turn it into something meaningful and important for the kingdom of God. So today is such a wonderful day to celebrate the rich history of our community, of our city, and to think about how we can say yes to one another and say yes to what God is doing in our midst.